is live, you can then share the link for people to join, because we can't bring everybody in the room. And because if you want everybody in the room, this room would have been filled already. But if you want some key stakeholders in the room, sometimes they get to send representative, or sometimes they get to come late, and for sometimes good reasons, and sometimes just the poor time management culture. But be that as it may, I want to welcome us into this event, and we look forward to supporting you in what you do. And then we ask that you also don't make this a one-time visit and that ends it, because this is going to be a continuous thing. So after the launching, on our social media handles and the social media handles of our partners, we would be sharing progress updates of every promise that the government has made, every one that we can find, everyone. So if you're part of any event and you hear the governor makes a promise, please, we would like that you share it with us. Because if all the promises that are made by government when they are asking for votes, if they deliver on those promises, then development will be more than what it is. And we will not be looking for development alternatives. Because let me be factual with you, most of what we do in the civil society are development alternatives. If you look at how much a local government gets in the level of maybe 400 million naira every month, if you check most of the projects that are going on by NGOs in the whole Akwa Ibom, I'm not sure any of it can come close to that amount. We can do the numbers. We know how much as a foundation we get in a year, and some other NGOs. If we put all the money that NGOs make together and put it side by side what a local government gets as an allocation, it will surprise you that it is just a quarter, just a mini percent of it. So if development can happen with those funds, then we will not be doing all these alternatives that we are doing. You look for alternatives when the real things are not working. They call it alternative power supply, solar, biogas, all of those things. What we do for the most part are alternatives, and we don't want to continue with the alternatives. And so we want to hold this government accountable for whatever promise they've made, and resources are available. And these resources, even if they are not enough, how can they then be multiplied? Because that is the business of capitalism, of entrepreneurship. Whatever resources you have, how can we multiply it so that these things begin to work? And what are the lessons we can learn from other countries like China and all of that? For instance, China has a system where you don't just become a governor. You would have to move through the rank over a period of time. And the goal for these people is happiness. Like I was saying on radio, UAE has a minister called the Minister of Happiness. Somebody that has a responsibility to ensure that the people are happy. And that, if not anything, is the role of government, to ensure that the people are happy. Some climes like Finland, what's it called? Finland, all of these countries have moved beyond gross domestic products, measuring gross domestic products as a measure of progress. They have gotten to the point where they now measure gross national happiness. So if you then check Nigeria's ranking on gross national happiness for the past few years, you see that by data, we are the most unhappy people. We're among the most unhappy people in the world. Because you cannot, except by some sense of psychology, religion, theology, philosophy, the happiness that we have comes from those deep enshrined doctrines of celebrating being contented, godliness with contentment. is great gain. But in these countries where you are happy because something is working, and not the concept of being joyful and all of that. So people are not happy, and if they are not happy, then the government has failed in its responsibility. And these guys have come with measures to even come with system to even measure how happy are the people last month compared to now. And so we have a responsibility to ensure that we don't continue in this alternative dimension, such that the role of CSOs, for instance, if you have independent National Electoral Commission, the goal of INEC is supposed to be an independent body that is not dependent on the citizens or dependent on the policymakers or on the government, but they are independent. And because they are not working, is the reason why you have monitoring groups and all of this. And if you look at all the funds that go to these alternatives, there are a lot of money that if the right thing were working, we will not have to be doing this. So without wasting so much of our time, I know we have key persons who will share interesting thoughts as we go on. I want to welcome us once again to the official launching of Government Accountability Platform we call the No Watch, and I wish us a wonderful deliberation. Thank you very much.
Please celebrate him. Celebrate Mr. Ekana Oluyori, the Executive Director of Clement Isong Foundation. Beautiful welcome remarks there. And I trust that has been able to set the tone for what you'll be expecting in few minutes from now. Thank you very much. Okay, so before we go further, I'd like to recognize a few persons present in this hall today. Let me begin with Dr. Etim Frank, Department of Political Science and Public Administration, the University of Uyo, who is ably seated today, flanked at my right-hand side. Welcome, welcome. He will be taking us on a featured presentation on building a transparent future, the role of citizen engagement in tracking government performance. Please once again celebrate Dr. Etim Frank. Thank you. I'd like to also recognize the presence of Mr. Udim Manasseh, the CEO of Future Labs. Future Labs is a tech hub based in Akwa Ibom State. Welcome, Mr. Udim Manasseh. He will also be taking us on a featured presentation titled Empowering Citizens and Enhancing Accountability Through Digital Innovation, the Future of Transparent Governance. Please once again celebrate Mr. Manasseh. Okay, we also have Mr. Oluwasegun Aje Tomi, Program Manager, Reformers Africa. He will be joining us virtually much later. His organization, and he's the one saddled with the responsibility of unveiling the Umoino Watch. We are also expecting Mr. Ayomide Alao, Executive Director, Reformers Africa, to join us virtually for the complete launch of the NO Watch platform. Please be informed that the Citizens platform, or the citizenswatch.com, is also present in other states in the western part of Nigeria. And this is more of a duplication of what has happened, the progress in those states. So Clement Isong Foundation, in partnership with ACODA and Action Aid Nigeria, thought it wise to also implement this in Akwa Ibom State to ensure tracking and monitoring of the Umoino's administration. Okay, please, I'd like us to celebrate the presence of Mr. Gabriel representing Nigerian Labour Congress. He's ably seated over there. Please celebrate him. I'd like to also recognize the media present today. Inspiration FM, ably represented by Mr. Endurance, flanked by my right hand over there. And we also have Miss, forgive me, the name has left my head. Miss Ndifreke Patrick, she's representing the Mail newspaper. Please celebrate her, an amazing woman. Okay, all right, thank you so much. Okay, okay, thank you. So please, let's also make welcome our online participants. I understand they are already viewing and streaming and are eagerly waiting for what is loaded today. Please welcome our online participants. Celebrate them. Even though we are yet to see them, we'll get to see them much later. Okay, I'd like to also celebrate Mr. Edidiong Dixon, who is representing the Executive Director of Policy Alert, flanked to my left-hand side. Please celebrate him. And we also have a tech guru present in the house in person of Mr. Tony Onuk, Francis Onuk. Please celebrate him. He is the co-founder of Root Hub Nigeria. Thank you. Okay, very briefly, we would move further to the next item, the welcome address. The welcome address is to be presented by Dr. Harry Udo, the chair, Akwa Ibom State Civil Society Organizations Forum. He is ably represented here today by Mr. Edidiong Dixon. With a loud ovation, please let's make welcome Mr. Edidiong Dixon for a welcome address on behalf of Dr. Harry Udo. Please celebrate him once again. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Abbas, and welcome everyone. We are proud to be associated with this initiative by Clement Isong Foundation and its partners. Civil society is always interested when government is, or when the conversation is about holding government accountable. Not because that will put anybody on the spot or make any official uncomfortable, but there is that strong linkage between accountable institutions and improved service delivery for citizens. So initiatives like this should always be applauded and welcomed. And ACODA is proud to lend its weight, support to Clement Isong Foundation and its partners for bringing this initiative to reality. At Policy Alert, for instance, we've been involved in the advocacy for the Akwa Ibom State government to sign on to the Open Government Partnership. So there was a conversation yesterday when the government was presenting the medium-term expenditure framework. And it's apparent that Akwa Ibom has checked the box that even most states have signed on to the OGP have not checked. To a far extent, they are more accountable and even open than some of its sister states. But the state has not yet officially signed on to that partnership. And what that partnership would do is what these initiatives aim to do. So the initiative is aimed to bring civil society, more citizen participation in making government accountable. And that platform will provide the framework for government to do that on a day-to-day basis. And the solution, or the reason is simple. Without co-creating with civil society, government cannot get its solutions right. So you cannot be designing solutions that are aimed to affect me, and I'm not in the room where that conversation is going on. So if the promises of government even has to resonate properly with us, we have to be part of what those solutions would be, and then become a layer of enforcing those promises. So, as I mentioned earlier, ACODA, which Policy Alert is part of, is very much happy to be associated with this initiative, and will continue to participate to profile that all of what the government's promises would be over the course of the next 3 years, having seen that the year is already gone, and to see how much of that citizens' demand and accountability can actually bring to fruition. So on behalf of ACODA, I wish us happy deliberations. Thank you.
Thank you again. Thank you very much, Mr. Edidiong Dixon, for that amazing welcome address on behalf of Dr. Harry Udo, the chair, Akwa Ibom State Civil Society Organizations Forum. And he made mention of one very key point. Without co-creation alongside with the CSOs, the solutions preferred by the government may not be exactly what the people need. So it is important for the government to come together and co-create alongside with the civil society organization. Thank you very much, Mr. Dixon, for that amazing welcome address. Once again, please celebrate him. Okay. All right. So to move further, we will be taking okay, we are moving further to the next item. Pardon me, we will have to keep the goodwill message from the representative of the Commissioner of Information. We do hope he or she arrives here much later to deliver that goodwill message. But in the moment, we will be going to the next item, the featured presentation. And to take us on a featured presentation titled Building a Transparent Future, the role of citizen engagement in tracking government performance. Please make welcome Dr. Etem Frank, Department of Political Science and Public Administration, the University of Uyo. Please celebrate him as he comes forth for his featured presentation. Keep celebrating him until he arrives the podium. Welcome, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. And Clement Isong Foundation, thank you for inviting me to come and reason with you. You've asked me to come, let's reason together. And that's just what I want to do. I'm going to discuss with you on this. So we're going to have an interactive session. I'm not giving a lecture. I want to interact. If Jesus Christ with all his omnipotent nature should say, now come, let's reason together. Who am I? I'm here to reason together with you. Now let's have a chat this way. The role of the citizens in tracking government performance. Why should that be? Why should a citizen track government performance? Let's take a trip backward, dialectically to classical age. Thank God for the executive director. He was talking about happiness here. And when he was saying so, I said, look, he must have peeped into my paper. Not really paper. Classically, there is a philosopher called Aristotle. We all know about it. Whatever you are doing, you know about Aristotle. His full name, Aristotle Ariston, a Greek philosopher. Aristotle, in his work, Nicomachean Ethics, said that happiness is the highest good pursued by man. And Elkanah was talking about happiness here. Aristotle said, all of us seated here, whatever we are doing with our lives, we are doing so because we want to be happy with our life. And if that is not true of you, let's have a conversation. Aristotle, that happiness is the highest good. Whatever we do with your life, whatever you intend to be, you intend to be that so that you be happy with your life, ultimately. Having said in classical times, he came forth. If happiness is what man pursue, then the function of the state is to make the citizens happy. So the state at all times, in all its functions, in inactions and actions, is for the state where you belong, where I belong, is to make me and you happy. We want to establish the background for tracking, why we should track the government. Aristotle went on to establish that the state is the best community in which we should be, that if you don't belong to a state, you are either a beast or a god. And so, happiness is our ultimate goal, and the state is where we all belong. Therefore, the state's business is to make me and you happy, just like Elkanah talked about, a UAE Minister for Happiness and the rest of them. Therefore, the government that manages the state, Aristotle set the template as the function of the government. Number one, we have come forward to say, oh, government is security and property and life. Yes, if it's not secure, how will you be happy? If your property is removed, how will you be happy? And so it still radiates from the postulation of Aristotle that happiness is the ultimate goal pursued by man, and happiness must and should be the role of the states to be pursued onto the citizens. And therefore, when the government is not ensuring the happiness of the citizens, then that government must be told what to do. From the Greek city-states of Athens, where Aristotle came from, we move on to the Roman Empire. A man came onto the stage of the war. His name is Marcus Tullius Cicero. We've all heard of Cicero. Cicero came forward when the Roman Empire took over the Greek civilization. And he said to everyone, look, the role of the government, the role of the Roman Empire, the role of the state thereof must be rested on the principle of salus populis suprema lex ethos. Salus populis suprema lex ethos. Let the welfare of the people be the supreme law pursued by government at all times. That dovetailed into Aristotle. Cicero, a great statesman, a governor of the island of Silica, and many other faiths, a diplomat, an orator. For those of us that read Shakespearean's literature series, this should reflect on you. When the Roman Empire was in stress, possessive individualism, and the rest of them, he established a cardinal principles of government. Salus populis, let the welfare of the people be the supreme law pursued by the government at all times. Till today, nobody has controverted that. Marcus Tullius Cicero. Now, if that is supposed to be the reason for government, then we need to track the government. If that's the reason for the states, then we need to track the states. From the Roman Empire, after it started collapsing, of course, you know the Roman Empire at one point in time,